Since World War II, two things have consistently occurred whenever the United States experienced a recession. The GDP, a measurement of the country's economic output, declines while unemployment rises. So when do most Americans begin to experience a recession? It's when they start worrying about their job. But something's going on, and even most Americans are doubting if there is one or more, as others might randomly say. Could this be another plot to fool us? But as we've stated, the recession experienced years ago is very different from the recession experienced this year, and we'll tell you more about it in today's video. Let's first explain what is a recession. Technically, a recession means a decline in the gross domestic product or GDP for two succeeding quarters. This means that the value of both goods and services produced in a country decreased for 6 months straight. But according to the U.S. National Bureau of Economic Research or NBER, which tracks both the beginning and end of a U.S. recession, has found factors that may indicate the start of a recession. There are 4 other areas that the NBER collects aside from the GDP: employment, real income, retail, and manufacturing. If these 4 factors decline, then there is a possibility that GDP will too. However, if you're comparing a recession with stagnation, these are 2 different things. Stagnation is simply a time when there is low to zero growth. It's not even similar to depression, which is a worse decline that happens for several years. Now that's out of the way, let's go back and see what's happening today. While inflation is upon us, which we'll talk about in other videos, we tend to ask if the US is really in a recession. It seems unbelievable, especially when many jobs are open compared to the pre-pandemic prime years, and yet it's been claimed that recession is also within our means. As mentioned, with a recession, there usually comes a dip in the economy and a rise in unemployment in the country. But this 2022, even the head of the Federal Reserve says a recession is a possibility as the GDP is declining. The unemployment rate, however, is falling instead of the unexpected rise numbers. Instead of losing jobs, more people are finding them, and it's definitely unlike what was expected before regarding the recession. I know what you're thinking. History always repeats itself, but in this case, it's like any other. We are unsure if there is a recession, yet we can state that if there is one, we've never seen anything like it before. And this is the recession. If people are discouraged by high inflation and believe it will continue for some time, they may pull back and persuade businesses to make cuts. Making cuts could either mean laying off workers, reducing their pay, downsizing to a smaller office, closing off facilities, or moving to a less expensive location. This solution, however, actually causes the economy to perform worse. But compared to previous recessions, businesses are in a different position. The typical corporate profit margin is displayed in this graph. Profits in the past were in a single digits, which caused several recessions, including the one in 2001. Because businesses were overinvested, they decided they needed to cut back to rebuild our profit margins, which immediately sparked a recession. Now that the bubble has burst, I wouldn't say that the NASDAQ or our tech index have reached its bottom just yet. So again, are we really in a position to say that history is somehow repeating itself? Somehow, it doesn't seem that way, considering the profit margins are so high right now. Corporate profits are in the double digits, and they have close to $4 trillion in cash. That, according to analysts, is a sizable downturn buffer. They may decide they can weather this storm without cutting back on investment or firing employees, and they might even manage to get us to the other side of this adjustment without a significant self-sustaining cutback. Additionally, because many are having trouble hiring people in the first place, businesses have incentives to avoid losing any employees. In the job market, this era is incredibly unique. The unemployment rate is at its lowest point in 40 years, and it's not just the pandemic to blame. The rate has been falling for a while. It is also evident in the rates of open positions. More jobs become available as more people drop out of the workforce and start their own financially self-sustaining alternatives. A pandemic would create a larger number of jobs, just like what recently happened. There are 11 million open positions that go unfilled every year. To put that into perspective, consider that there were 7 million unfilled job openings in 2019 when the economy was thought to be exceptionally strong. However, we were wrong. We are currently in an economic downturn. Yet there are 4 million more jobs available than there were even at the peak of the previous expansion. Are people leaving their jobs? Yes. Are we really in a recession? Yes. But are there still so many jobs available and people employed or financially in a somewhat sustainable position? You must ask yourself why this is the case. So let's again go back to the question of why is this happening instead? One explanation is that the economy is undergoing a generational shift. Millions of baby boomers are retiring as early as today, starting their firms or individually just pursuing other ways to support themselves financially and have even pursued this as their full-time jobs. Therefore, there are simply fewer workers overall. As a result of all the stimulus that was injected into the economy during the pandemic, there has also been a really strong demand for goods and services. Because of the labor shortages and high demand, a very competitive job market was consequently created. And if a recession occurs in 2022, it could be caused by this strong job market. After previous recessions, there were what were known as jobless recoveries, in which the GDP started to increase again, but businesses kept firing employees. We are currently witnessing a replica of that, with businesses continuing to hire despite a decline in economic output. This is what I'm referring to as a job downturn. But how long could the recession last actual job availability? Do you believe this is sustainable? To see a decline in economic output while businesses are hiring, therefore, one of the two outcomes is required. Either the economy improves or business expansion resumes. Or else, as the economy and its output continue to deteriorate, businesses declare that they are in over their heads and must make job cuts. One of those events will occur. Just which one of the two? We don't know. There has never been a recession that was exactly like another one. And if there is one in 2022, it won't resemble anything we've seen in the past either. Now we've come to the end of our video. Are you currently jobless? And do you believe that there is a recession? Tell us your thoughts, answers, and even questions in the comment section below. We always look forward to giving our viewers the answers they need. And if you want us to feature videos that answer your questions regarding inflation or how to make money, write them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon to stay updated. Please look forward to our next videos as we talk about inflation and even teach you effective money management tips during inflation. This is your 3 Towers Investing channel. See you soon.